I don't know how much I'm gonna be able to contribute here, Silas.
For an after one.
Hey, welcome back, ScreenCrush. I'm Ryan Airy, and this is all of the Easter eggs, references, and little things that you might have missed in Willow, Episode 3, The Battle of the Slaughtered Lamb. Now, of course, the title has a literal meaning, referring to the fight that ends the episode, which we're going to talk about a bit later in the video. But slaughtered lamb also has a double meaning, referring to sacrifice. In many cultures, animal sacrifice was used as a way to appease the gods to gain their favor. And slaughtering a young animal like a lamb was especially favorable because you are also sacrificing the potential of that animal to provide wool, meat, and milk for many years to come. The slaughtering of lambs also has come to be a metaphor for sacrificing the innocent, which is why Jesus is called the Lamb of God, and why the freaking movie is called Silence of the Lambs.
Well, Clarice, have the lambs stopped screaming?
But in the case of Willow, we see a couple different sacrifices in this episode. Valentine is going to sacrifice an innocent, Elora Danan, to the Eternal One, and Willow's friend Silas sacrifices his life, and Willow sacrifices a portion of his magic to save the day. Now, like a lot of fantasy stories, this episode begins with an epic flashback to a mythical time of lore.
It was 10,000 years.
But this is Willow, so of course there's also a gag.
And about 3 weeks ago.
Love it. Now, the story they flash back to is a massive civil war that probably started all the evil magic we see in the show and in the movie. Basically, there's this incredibly powerful kingdom called Kymeria. Think of Old Valyria in Game of Thrones or Numenor in Lord of the Rings. Kymeria was, I'm guessing, kind of like the Roman Empire. It was so big and perfect that the only thing that could divide it was itself. The heir to the kingdom was a young man who had always been sickly named Thol. Now think Viserys in House of the Dragon, and his younger brother Tiberius actually wanted the throne.
Like Daemon in House of the Dragon.
Yes, exactly. High five. So, as the flashback tells us, the queen was a fae, which is another word for fairy. So she was a magical being who forged this invincible armor for her son, the rightful king. Now, we don't know exactly what happened to Kymeria, but we do know that Elora Danan is the direct descendant of this magical royal bloodline. It's why she's referred to as
Last Blood of Kymeria.
Now, I'm betting that more of this backstory is going to be revealed as the show goes on, as Boorman has time to tell Kit the story, even though he's about as unreliable as a narrator as you can get.
And about 3 weeks ago.
And I'm thinking that treacherous brother, Tiberius, was either influenced by the Eternal One, or more likely, Tiberius asked the Evil One for help defeating his brother's magic armor. So it would be the greed and ambition of men that caused the downfall of Kymeria.
Yeah, seems pretty on point. You humans, man. Why can't you just settle in by the fire and chew on a good stick and forget about starting wars?
That's right, Doug. Peace on earth, goodwill to men. If only the people of Kymeria could have been more like you. By the way, everybody, if you like what we do here at the channel and you want to help support us, we are now selling Doug the Manager ornaments at our merch store at shopzeroedition.com.
Here we go again. I do not endorse this commercialism of
These ornaments feature Doug in his signature blue polo and an antler on his head, like Max in The Grinch Who Stole Christmas. It's also a very high quality piece that will last your family for generations, about 10,000 years and 3 weeks. And then we have a new shirt that I designed and the people over at Zero Edition created perfectly. It's called a Top 5 shirt.
But the tapes are blank.
Exactly. This way you can write your own top 5 movies or shows on the tapes, so every shirt is unique to you. Like all the shirts at Zero Edition, this shirt fits great, is high quality, and it's one of many fun custom tees that we are selling.
You are such a sellout.
Right? So to shop these for the holidays and to help support our channel, visit the link in the description to get yours today.
Back to the Easter eggs, please.
Right you are. So Queen Annabelle makes this breastplate, but it takes a magical device called the Lux Arcana to activate it.
A magical key that activated the enchanted armor so it would only serve he who was worthy of its awesome power.
And this is where it gets interesting. The Lux Arcana enchants the armor, so only the worthy can actually use its power. So later in the episode, it definitely looks like Boorman's found the Lux Arcana, right? So later on, if they do find the cuirass, then he could activate it. But he knows that he would actually not be able to use it because
you're all not worthy.
But he would be carrying the Lux Arcana for somebody who is worthy.
But then why not just reveal the Lux Arcana to the entire fellowship?
Well, it could be because, like the show wants us to think, he's a secret bad guy, and that he wants to steal the Lux Arcana.
Or Boorman's down in Louisiana, and he wants to steal the Lux Arcana.
Well done, high five. Or maybe it's that he's worried about somebody in the Fellowship becoming corrupted and telling the enemy about the Lux Arcana.
Now see, that makes more sense to me.
And it's also possible that the cuirass won't even work for anyone without this Lux Arcana. And that's why, like years ago, he and Mad Mardigan hid the armor in a place that was separate from the Lux Arcana. And now he's looking for the magic artifact that's going to actually activate the power of the cuirass. He also gives us some clarification about the villains in the show.
Crone, Gales, the Worm, everyone's got a scary name. They all mean the same thing.
So there is actually just one evil force behind everything in this world, which for simplicity's sake, I'm just going to call the Eternal One. When Kit is searching for Elora, she calls her Miss Muffin, which is cute because it sounds like she's saying Miss Muffet, like the nursery rhyme, but she's actually saying Miss Muffin because, like, that's her specialty. And then Kit finds Elora's berry tree, and I'm pretty sure she works out that now she can do magic. But that only seems to make Kit resent Elora even more. Remember, a couple episodes ago, she blamed Elora for losing her dad.
I think he snuck her out of the castle one night and took her somewhere far away where nobody would find her, and then stayed with her.
For her entire life, she thought that she was the special princess who was great in battle. But now, the re-emergence of Elora Danan means that she is no longer the most special princess in the land. And later, Jade even drops the bomb that she's been letting Kit win in their duels for years. Now, of course, this also makes her wonder if Jade has actually been faking her feelings for her as well. We might be seeing Kit become a character like Tiberius from the opening flashback, a person of royal blood who believes that they are entitled to privilege and power, and that sense of entitlement makes her vulnerable to committing great evil. Then we get our first action set piece of the episode, and one thing I'm really loving about this show is how much care they put into each member of their ensemble and their different interactions. Borman gets a great rogue moment.
Someone just concisely recap everything I missed.
And Graydon gives himself the beginning of an arc when he says,
When there's an opportunity to be heroic or even competent, I freeze up.
Which just means that later on he's going to have a personal obstacle to overcome, and he proves his bravery. But then there's a consequence for that action, and he becomes infected with the evil of the Eternal One. Also, maybe you guys can clear something up for me down in the comments. Did Willow, think that his smoke bomb was going to help? Or did he see that everybody was losing and he wanted to save their lives? It seems like he directly contributed to losing Elora, and it was poorly executed and kind of confusing. What are your thoughts? Let me know down below. So then they run into the Twilight Veil. Graydon speaks the Willow version of Parseltongue and is able to interpret the words of the storm.
Extinguish the flame, snuff out the light, and exile the child to the 13th night.
As Willow says, they're talking about the same ceremony that Bavmorda was performing in the climax of the film. So here we learned a couple of important things. One, that Bavmorda is definitely not coming back to this show because she accidentally used that same banishment spell on herself. And that's great because I think we've seen way too many 80s villains return in their legacy sequels.
Somehow Palpatine returned.
But also, in the movie, the realm she's banished to is called Netherworld, and here they call it the 13th night. 13 is a number that is often seen as unlucky or evil, unless it's referencing a baker's dozen.
Tasty donut. So what does the 13th night even mean?
Well, there are 12 months in the year, and a clock has 12 hours on it. So a 13th night is a kind of extra night, a night that is not part of the regular calendar, so it would be a night that goes on forever. When their wagon wrecks, Willow says,
"Don't say groin in mixed company."
which I guess is the fantasy equivalent to this.
Shit! Language!
So Elora is running through the middle of this storm, which is being consumed by a twilight vortex, and she encounters two women, and look, one of them is played by Hannah Waddingham. She was Septa Nulla in Game of Thrones.
Shame.
And more importantly, she plays Rebecca Welton on Ted Lasso.
First concert, best concert. You go ahead and go first. Go, right off the bat.
The Spice Girls. And, the Spice Girls.
Now, she and her silent companions say their names are Anne and Hubert, and this whole scene is very, very fishy to me. They're in the middle of a maelstrom of evil, but their cabin is bright and sunny. The two of them die very quickly, too, especially for an actress as high profile as Hannah Waddingham.
So you got a theory for me?
Yes, the episode opens with the introduction of a Fae queen, and Fae traditionally live hidden in fairy groves in the woods. So I think that Elora actually stumbled into a grove of two Faes living in it. Or remember, Willow has a vision of her like she's been possessed. I think it's even possible that she was placed into a kind of trance, and that she actually met the Fae in her mind. So Ballantyne doesn't actually physically encounter them. It's the influence of the Eternal One trying to infect Elora and the Fae. This is the same kind of telepathic communication that Elora used when she was a baby.
Elora Danan has chosen you to be her guardian.
Or maybe Hannah Waddingham is just a big Willow fan and she wanted to be in the show.
Or yeah, it could be that. And by the way, Anne is played by Kaomi Farron from the show Dairy Girls, and that show is also great and you should watch it.
Okay, can do. Watch Dairy Girls. Got it.
So either way, the two of them are firm believers in Elora Danan and immediately swear their allegiance.
Anne and I would like to enlist. We will fight at your side.
Too bad this happens.
What you say? That you only meant when.
Now, the other enduring mystery of this show is what the hell has happened to Mad Mardigan. Boorman seems pretty sure that he's dead.
Because if he were alive, if he'd come back, things would be different.
But like I said, unreliable narrator. My guess is that Mad Mardigan and Boorman realized that the cuirass was too dangerous. In fact, maybe history has a distorted view of this, and Thul, who was the good king, was the actual villain who used the cuirass for evil. If that's the case, maybe Mad Mardigan is off protecting the armor somewhere to keep it as far away from the Lux Arcana as possible. So when he goes into the well to look for the armor, Kit stays above to fight were-rats. which to me look like they're done with old school stop motion animation, which is awesome because it fits in with the special effects used for the troll serpents in the first movie. Kit also fights with her mother's sword from the film, which is also very cool. So in this episode, we learned that Willow is indeed a great sorcerer, but his flesh is weak and can only perform a limited amount of magic before he dies or before his physical body can't channel mystical forces anymore. There is a parallel here with Valentine and the soldiers. The evil of the Eternal One is eating away at their flesh, just as the good magic in Willow will eventually degrade his body. When Elora touches them, we briefly hear the original Willow theme play.
How did you?
I'm magic.
Now, this means that the magic is still strong within Elora and that Willow could train her. And boy, does she need training.
Tuatha! Athrakmara! Huatha!
Her bluff here is also a lot like Willow in the movie, always telling people that he was a great sorcerer.
I am a powerful sorcerer. See this acorn? I'll throw it at you and turn you to stone.
And man, look, I know we're talking about lore and everything, but this show really does have some great laughs in it.
If we could just get everyone to stop fighting and get back in the wagon. Second thoughts, keep fighting.
After Willow uses his sorcery, he doesn't have enough gas left to heal his friend Silas. Now you know the rule, guys. Two characters are talking about how they're getting older, reminiscing, one of them's gonna die.
My best friend.
And when he and Silas had that conversation, Willow said,
Playing the fields from sun up to sundown. Still had enough energy to dance with Kai till dawn.
and Kai was, of course, his wife in the movie. Valentine and Jade get a tearful goodbye.
Do it.
I can't.
It has to be you. It shouldn't be you, but it is.
And I admit, guys, I totally missed that he was the one who raised her. This made the whole storyline with him feel even more tragic, and it raised the stakes for the entire story. The Eternal One can infect the people that they love and cause a civil war among men, much like the civil war in Kymeria that began the episode. Boorman gets in one last zinger.
Okay, well now you can do magic. You want to fly us out of here? No? Well then I'm going up the big scary steps.
Before Willow finally reveals where they are and what his vision showed him.
Nockmar.
This is the evil castle of Nockmar that Bavmorda ruled from in the movie. In episode 2, we learned that it's been abandoned, but there are several ways to circumnavigate it.
Nobody goes through Nockmar. Go round to the north.
Or the south, depending on where you're going.
True, true.
Now we see that Nockmar is at the center of the void and of the portal, which makes sense because Bavmorda's chamber was built specifically for this banishment ceremony. Remember, she had to wait for the moon and stars to align just right for the ceremony to work, just like the Parseltongue Cloud said.
Stars align, doors open, sphere turns, the gods awoken.
And then we get a kick-ass set of end credits set to the song Enter Sandman, originally by Metallica. Super sweet. Now the lyrics, Exit Light, Enter Night, and Off to Never Neverland are very appropriate because the Eternal One wants to banish all light and send Elora Danan off to a domain of eternal darkness. So guys, just a reminder to check out our merch store for our top 5 shirts and your very own Doug ornament, and let me know what you thought of the episode down in the comments below or at me on Twitter. And if it's your first time here, please subscribe and smash that bell for alerts. For ScreenCrush, I'm Ryan Airy.